I don't think we do it enough as actors to just have off our own bat to look at work. We sort of wait until opportunities, possibly wait for opportunities to come to us, i.e. a casting or work. That's when we look at the text. Whereas this is an opportunity to do that in a safe environment.
Hi Sheena, how are you?
Hi Russell, I'm very well indeed, thank you.
Cool.
On this weird Friday. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you for joining us today. You're going to talk about your initiative, I guess, called Script Readers. And I stumbled across the word initiative. I don't know if it's initiative. It's more of a safe space, I think, which is a nice way to talk about it. But we'll get into that in a moment. So tell us about you, though. Who are you? Are you a performer? Are you a writer? Are you a director? Tell us about you.
I'm an actor. So I've trained as an actor and have been in the business, oh God, donkey's years now. Trained at Bristol Old Vic, so graduated there in 1985. I've been sort of involved in the industry ever since, and then started Script Readers at the back of being involved in my union in equity. So I'm heavily involved in the union, and Script Readers came from there initially. Yeah.
Do you ever write yourself?
I don't write. I have adapted. I did a fabulous one-woman show called War Crimes from the Home, where it was co-written with a friend of mine, and I facilitated some of the adaptation, but I don't write, no.
Okay.
So what I like to do is sort of bring on other writers.
So you mentioned Script Readers, which is why you're on the channel today. Tell us about Script Readers. What is it and where did it come from?
Well, funny enough, you saying it is a safe space, which absolutely is a safe space, but I always describe it as a new writing initiative. And I set it up in 2008, and it came out of the back, as I say, from North and East London branch of Equity. I started to get more involved in my union again when my sons actually sort of went back to secondary school, and you're thinking, I need to get more involved with some different stuff now, and my career can sort of grow a little bit more. Now I don't have so much childcare to sort of think about. And it was going to be started by a young actress who wanted to start a sort of script reading group. And I said, didn't know how to go about it. And I said, let me sort of support you with this. And how it first started was just I thought, I'm very great one, build it and it will come. Start it and people will join in. Just start it. It's as simple as that. Put the word out, it'll happen. And from that, it was just called The Group to begin with. And we started off with rented space at Theatre Royal Stratford East so that there was a physical space for us all to be. Started with about 10 to 15 core people, one of them being, I don't even want to give a shout out because sadly we've just lost Polly recently, Eileen Pollock, fabulous Liverpudlian actress who we lost a couple of weeks ago. Polly was one of the core members. And originally what the group was about a safe space. It was about a safe space actually for actors to read scripts, to read and debate scripts, old scripts, new scripts, just to sort of play around with stuff. Because we were at Theatre Royal Stratford East as well, it was about possibly playing around with casting, not necessarily, you're playing yourself or your usual kind of slot, but really having a sort of play around with stuff. And then that sort of evolved, that grew, more members came on board, more people joined the group, different ages, different experiences, which was fantastic. I then went to lots of different other writing groups, see what was going on. I also went to the BBC writers' room because I was really interested to connect with writers to get to them. And I think it was probably the sort of seminal meeting I went to was to see Stephen Polyakov, who I'm just a huge fan of his work. I just adore his work. And I was really taken by two things that he said, which was about as creatives to look at every opportunity you can get your work out there. Basically, always be looking for opportunities to get your work, that nobody's going to be discovered in our bedroom. There's no point in that. Well, there is a point in that, obviously, but to just get your stuff out there. And the other thing was about being a champion for new writing, being a champion for something. And as the year had gone on, the more and more new writing that was coming into to the group. I think by that time I'd set up a little website, which now got a bigger website, but it was about the new work. It was actually about supporting new writing and new writers, and for actors to actually have that experience of not just recreating somebody else. It's some, with classic plays or plays that have been done before, it's been done before and you're doing your own version, whereas this is completely pure new writing. Nobody has ever said these words before. So that started to get very exciting for me. And that's how it sort of grew, basically. It's about new words, new writing, new stories.
Would it be safe to say that you set it up also to meet a gap in the market? Was there something you felt that the industry wasn't providing?
Yeah, I think I felt that there wasn't possibly a space for a whole generation of actors to get together, whole mix of experienced actors, younger actors, to sort of learn off each other as well. I also maybe felt that a space where you could just play as performers. There is no directorial influence in the piece. That was the other thing that I felt very, very strongly, that from the writer's point of view, they're working with a group of actors that they've never met before. They've got no relationship with them. So it's a very pure relationship. And there's no other influence other than the actor's natural instinct to their piece, to their work, to those words. And I don't think there was anything like that. When I looked around at all the other groups, there was very much, there was more of a directorial influence on it. There was more of a sort of structure, whereas this is much more equal and, if you like, sort of free for all. There's no hierarchy. There's no us and them between, like, the cast, the people who are reading the play. So we use the word cast, and everybody else that's involved in the reading. It's a circular. Everybody's all in this pot together. The writer, the cast, the audience, all intermingled in together. So I think there was I don't think I was aware of anything like that happening before. That's very much on my thing of everybody's voice is as important as anybody else's. It's not just the people with the loudest voice or the people that can come up with their views as quickly as possible or as loudly as possible. So that was a thing of import to me.
Yeah, it's because I've been to script readers and I've witnessed it, and what I found fascinating was that it also felt like a bit like an actor's gym. And I remember walking away thinking to myself, this is great, because how often do actors get the chance to just be in a room with no job pressure, just with text? Because the educator and director part of me sometimes says actors aren't keeping that up enough. That, and I'm paraphrasing sweeping statement, but I do sometimes yearn there for more opportunities for actors to just work with text.
Yeah.
So when actors come to you, what do you think they gain from it?
I think what they gain from it is an opportunity to play, to just use their own instinct to look at that piece. The actors get the script about 4 or 5 days before the reading, to just sort of do their own prep, to have their look at what that piece means to them, or that character, and just have to play on the floor with the rest of the cast. I think it's an opportunity, as you're just saying, about to explore text and to play with text. I think in the main, I agree. I don't think we do it enough as actors to just have off our own bat to look at work. We sort of wait until opportunities, possibly wait for opportunities to come to us, i.e. a casting or work. That's when we look at the text. Whereas this is it's an opportunity to do that in a safe environment. It doesn't matter if you mess it up, because of course as actors everybody wants to be truthful in the moment and to be looking at looking at these pieces as actors to sort of bring to life. And the other thing that I think is really what actors get from it, which I think does not happen in a lot of other groups, and I'm sort of thinking back over the years now, is we also, as part of script readers, as well as the actual acting muscle of doing the work and telling the story and bringing that character and that story arc off the page, is also the discussion and debate afterwards, the conversation around what we've all just experienced as members of the cast or as the audience. And I think often that doesn't happen, that sort of actors potentially sometimes, or could be just sort of viewed as, well, your job is just to bring this to life. Your job is not to sort of reflect back on what you've heard, what you've experienced. And I think that's another thing that, and I think that takes a bit of training, actually. That takes a bit of people getting sort of used to being confident in offering their views, their thoughts on a piece that they've just experienced and heard. Because sometimes that's what I mean about directorial influence, and somebody else, you know, mum and dad up there saying, well, this is how I'm molding this. Sometimes you are, as an actor, not compromising, but I mean, you know what I mean? You are having to mold things because, oh, what is the director wanting? What is somebody else wanting? So I think there's a freedom in that, of actors being able to have the confidence of going, well, that actually is that's what I think.
Yeah.
That's what I think. And people can disagree and agree and disagree. So that's what the writers get. I always say, for the writers, they're hearing their piece come off the page for the first time with actors they've never met before, and their actors' instinct, those natural instincts to those words, exactly what is written, and to then hear a whole load of different views on their piece, to then do with as they will what they want to do with those responses. That's up to them, but to actually hear all those thoughts out loud.
Yeah, it's interesting. Just to add a note to what I said earlier, I don't think it's necessarily that actors don't want to work with words. I think that there's lack of access to those type of spaces. And also, but then also that means sometimes the permission to do that is also removed. That
yes,
it's a really, really fine balance of like, where can I go to do this once I graduated? And that space is limited, which is why your initiative is so amazing. So you've kind of preempted my third question, but we can dig down a little bit deeper. So you say that what you were passionate about was that actors get to feed back to the writers, which again is wonderful, because it's I don't think we ask actors' opinions that often, which is ridiculous.
No.
But I'd be interested in hearing, what type of feedback do you get from the writers, maybe on the walk home or emails later? What type of revelations do the writers have, do you think, or that you can remember?
Luckily, almost without exception, with the exception of one writer who did not have a good experience, which I still hold very strongly in my heart, because it's 12 years. But with mostly the writers have said what a fabulous experience it was, mainly because of all the different views that people have got, and having that focus and that detail of feedback and detail of personal response to their piece. I always say that I talk to the writers beforehand, have a lovely big conversation, so that they feel safe coming into the space. I mean, it used to be physically and now it's on Zoom, so that they've handed over their baby to me, and they're trusting me with their baby, and I'm then trusting the cast, obviously, to create. I think the main thing that writers go away with is, as I say, all those different views, all those different initial responses, the detail that then gets sort of drilled down, and people, which I always love as well, people arguing, people disagreeing, the audience, the people that in the company disagreeing with each other, so that a writer gets that of going, oh my God, that's interesting. That member of the audience took that away. That member of the audience took that away. What was it that I wanted? What was it that I wanted Can I do anything about that? Possibly not. And that's all right. That's interesting. That, I think, is probably what writers come. A lot of the time writers will say, yeah, a lot of things I was saying was what I'd thought. Other times of going, I've not thought of that. That's interesting. I think going back on what I think of what actors are asked of, often actors are asked about their character, just about their role, how it fits in, not the whole thing, not maybe. And I'm always every time what comes out of our people's mouths, you just get, everybody is so intelligent, or just got such insight because of for whatever reason, and all ages. Is not insight because of age at all, insight of, I think that's one thing I'm lumping on, that I would say, because I'm reflecting back of over 10 years about people feeling confident about sharing their views. I think our younger actors are probably more confident in sharing their views on things than they were possibly 10 years ago. I'm just sort of reflecting on workshops where some, or maybe it's just the young actors that have been with me, have been more confident in that, or whether they're just used to that forum more. But I'm just reflecting back over, because it's like 12 years ago, so you suddenly go, blimey.
That's interesting, because I interviewed another practitioner about 2 months ago, Seke, movement teacher, and he said exactly the same thing.
Really?
Which is nice. I think that's really
yeah.
You just reminded me of something before we wrap up. When my script was read at script readers, I also walked away realizing I was able to defend my play. If that
right.
Yeah. That some of the questions or inconsistencies that came up, I was actually able to say, it's actually this.
Yes.
And then the performers went, oh.
Yes.
That was lovely to be able to go. Yeah. But there was one or two things I was like, oh yeah, I got that wrong. And a guy picked up a little inconsistency in the timeline. I was like, of course, brilliant.
Right.
I've been staring at this for 5 years.
Yeah.
And so I definitely came away going, oh, I feel really confident.
Right. That's interesting. Yeah. Because it's not about, and I always, especially to the writers, and precisely with the feedback, which I think is as important as the reading, is that, we're not here to rewrite the play, to do it in any form, is just to give constructive, useful, and I make sure, sort of gently sharing, that it doesn't get, it's a safe space, it's a respectful space, and the comments that are made are always given with the good of the piece and the good of the, that's the point. It's the good of the play, the good of the script. But yeah, lost my plot there, but I think I know what I was going to say.
Oh, that's great. Thank you so much, Shenagh, for talking to us today. I'm going to put the link to your website below, so writers and actors can contact you.
Yes, please do, and very much so. A big shout out to writers. I was sort of surprised that actually through the, I think I did have a little bit of glitch on my website, but through the pandemic, I thought we would be inundated with scripts, with people going, what am I going to do? I'm going to write a play. So definitely shout out for submissions to come into piece. And just to give writers a bit of a sort of, there's a lovely process that goes through of the scripts are read by my script teams, which is teams of 2 people, 1 man, 1 woman. So both genders are getting view on the piece. And then if it gets 2 yeses, it goes off as a reading. 2 no's, sadly no, but please send your script back into us. And then if a yes and a no, it goes to a 3rd reader. So that's just how the process works as well.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Shenagh.
Lovely to see you. Take care.
Take care.
Bye.